Like, how can you not love this beauty? I am obsessed with her. She is amazing, and if you want your plant to look like this, then stick around. Hey friends, welcome back. As you can see, I have my beautiful golden pothos with me. She is huge, and I want to talk to you guys about those like viney plants that you see at stores. More often than not, you probably have one at home, or maybe you're thinking about buying one. So I wanted to share with you guys some tips that I do that seem to work really well with this kind of plant when it comes to watering, fertilizing. So if you see this mannequin here to my left and you are new to the channel, I am a reseller. I sell on the Poshmark app, and I use that mannequin dress form to model my inventory. So that's why that's there. Does not have anything to do with the plants. So you want to decide what is kind of the look that you're going for your home, for your plant. Meaning if you want it to be more viney and go outwards, or you want it to be full and lush and go up. This is another pothos that I have in my office right now, and she is pretty small. She's still pretty full, but she's starting to get viney. So I kind of want it to grow a little bit more, but if you want to start staking it up, now is a perfect time. You can do two things. You can buy something that is called a moss pole, and you just stake it right in the middle of your pot, and you just use the little clips that it comes with and wrap your vine up the pole. Or you can make your own. In this case, I simply took a piece of wood from my garage and wrapped some twine around it and wrapped my plant and tied it to the pole, So it gave it that, upward elevation, that lateral growth that I want. And I really love like the lush look of it. And I also do really enjoy some viney plants, different aesthetics, different looks for different spots of my home. Though I do want to kind of back up a little bit and make sure that you know kind of what to look for when you're picking out a plant. If you don't have one, but you want one of these, is to look at it when you're at the store. So you want to look to make sure that it is a clean plant, that there isn't any root rot. If you want to know what that is, you can look at my previous video about the plants. I kind of explain and show you what to look for that. You want to make sure that there are no bugs in it. So really make sure that you look at the leaves, look under the leaves, lift the foliage, look in there, get your eyes in there, and really take a look at your plant before you bring it home. So if you want a plant to be lush and full, then you want to make sure that the plant you pick out has already a lot of foliage, that the top of it is full, like this. You want to make sure that there's a lot of clippings in there, which will make the plant grow full. If it has like 3 or something in there, then you're gonna get a very viney plant that obviously doesn't have a lot of foliage. It doesn't mean it's not gonna grow, but it's not gonna meet your like full lush vision that you have. So definitely take that into consideration when you're picking one out. It will it will push out new growth in the bottom, but it's not gonna get as big and full if you don't start with one that has a lot of clippings in it already. I hope that makes sense. So when it comes to lighting, they definitely tolerate low light. That big one that I showed you before, this guy was in my closet, in my walk-in closet, that does have a window, but I always have the curtain drawn, so it didn't get a lot of light, and it still did really well. I recently moved it to my downstairs, closer to a window, and I have noticed that it is doing a lot better with more light. The leaves are getting really big compared to this guy. You guys can see the difference in the leaf sizes, I hope. So if you want your plant to have those really big leaves, to maybe start showing some variegations in the leaves, then move it closer to a window. Don't allow it to get direct sunlight. It will burn the leaves. Make sure that it's indirect, like medium light. But again, they do tolerate low light. So if you don't have a super, or if you don't have a room that has a lot of indirect light in it, it's okay. They will be happy in a low light setting. So when it comes to watering your plant, your pothos, you want to make sure that you let it dry out completely. And what I mean by letting it dry out completely is like literally let it get to like bone dry. I promise it will not hurt the plant. They actually really prefer to go super, super, super dry, where like if you look at it, the soil is like crumbly dry, like chronic dry, but in between waterings. And when you water it, make sure that you are watering it all the way through. What I really like to do is with my watering can, pour a little bit all around the pot in the middle, let it sit, and then add more water, and I make sure that everything gets soaked in there, and probably wait another like 10 days or so, depending on what the temperatures are and how quickly the plant is going through the water, to then water it again. So this plant does not like to be soaking in water. It doesn't like to be damp. So make sure that you are not watering it that often. And if you forget to water it, your plant is probably very happy about that. They just do so much better when you wait until they're super dry to water them. We've talked about how often you want to water them. Let's talk about what you would use to water your plants. Obviously you would use water, but they do need to be fed. And by that I mean fertilizer. So what I use for fertilizer is this. Actually, before I show you, let me just talk about different kinds of fertilizers. You can obviously get any liquid fertilizer from your local garden center, and just make sure that you dilute it a lot before you use it to your plants. If you put too much fertilizer, you will burn the roots of your plant, and that will be the end of your plant. So make sure that you dilute it a lot before you use it. So any liquid fertilizer is fine. I prefer one that's probably a little more organic. And another option, if you don't want to do the liquid fertilizer, is to get yourself some worm castings. And this is what I use. I just buy it on Amazon because I can never find it at my local plant place. Like they're always sold out. So I buy this bag. A little bit goes a long way. I actually mix this with some other stuff to make my soil mixture, and I can do another video about that. But when I get a plant from the nursery or the store, this is what I use to fertilize it. And how I do it is I just take a few scoops, and I will put it on the top of the soil. Make sure that there's like a thin layer coating the top, and sometimes I'll try to like work it in there. And that acts as a like slow releasing fertilizer. That bag is pretty inexpensive on Amazon, and like I said, a little bit goes a long way. You don't have to worry about adding liquid to your water every time you water it, but if you want to go that route, obviously that's really cool. I prefer the worm castings. It's just easier, and the plants really like it, so that's what I stick with. Whatever my plants like, I use. So say you've had your plant for a while and it is getting out of control, or it's not as full as you want it to be. These plants love to get pruned. They love to push out new growth. So when you are looking for, or if you are looking for that like full, lush, viney plant, you may be wondering why you would cut it back. Well, when you cut it back, it lets the plant know to push out new growth. So you'll get new growth at the base, and you will then achieve that like full, like beautiful cascading look that you may be after. And when you do the cuttings, you can make a new plant with all those cuttings. Just make sure that you get a few so your new plant will grow full and have a good set of foliage at the top where you can cut your plant if you are looking to do that. So it's very important that your plant has some aerial roots or a node, and you want to cut right underneath it. The main thing is that you want to cut below the node, and you want to make sure that there's an aerial root. So on this plant, you can see this new growth. That is like the most exciting part, is when new growth starts to shoot out. It is just so exciting. I love it and spend a lot of time admiring the new growth. So you want to see on your plant where the stem and the leaf meet, and this is a node. There is a tiny little aerial root right here, and what I would do is just take some clean scissors, and I would just cut right here, right in here. And you can make as many cuttings as you would like. So I would cut here, I would cut here, and I would cut here. So that would give me 3 cuttings. Propagate it by putting it in water, or you can put it in soil. There's really no right or wrong on how you want to propagate it. It's really up to you. So this cutting has been at my windowsill for a very, very long time. And I thought I wanted to propagate my golden pothos, but I just didn't want to keep cutting it, so I stopped. I made one plant with the cuttings, and then I just couldn't fit this one in it. I probably could have just shoved it in there, but I wanted a little something at my windowsill, so I just put it in this little glass tube, and I just made sure that it is in there. And the root on this is really long because it's been in my windowsill for a long time, but you can see, hopefully you can see the root starting where it starts, and I can show you how long it is. Like, it's super, the root is super long. Like, I've kind of passed the point of, you know, transplanting it into soil. And I really don't want to because I like this little guy at my window. So that's where I will stay. So you can water propagate it, or you can put it right in soil. This used to be a candle, and I really like the little glass container. So I am using it as a planter. And don't do what I did. This does not have drainage. Don't do that. Don't do that. I just couldn't find a container that I could squeeze inside of this, so I am crossing my fingers. These plants do well, but I don't water it that often, so this is what it looks like. And so these are all clippings from the big pothos that you guys keep seeing, and I just made sure to put a lot of them in here because I want this plant to be full. I would say I probably have in here 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 10 to 12 clippings. I know a couple of them are new growth, but you can see, oh, let me see if I can show you in there what it looks like. So I just popped them right in the soil, and I water it as often as I water my other plants, and it's doing really well. Like, this one's a new leaf, and this one on the bottom here is a new leaf. So I think it's pretty happy where it is. This guy also stays in my office, and I do have 3 windows there, but it doesn't get a lot of sun, and it's doing okay. They tolerate low light. They definitely do better with a little more light, but they're fine in low light. So this is a perfect little plant for my desk. And one last thing, which is probably one of the most important things, is when you come home with a plant, you probably want to put it in a nicer pot as soon as you come home. Like, they come home, I mean, when you buy them, they're in a nursery pot. They're not the prettiest things ever. I don't know why this guy is in such a large pot, but that's how I got it, and that's where it's gonna stay for a while. But I mean that they like to stay in their pot for a while, I mean that they kind of prefer to be a little bit root bound, where their roots really start to get settled in the pot, and you will see them like wrapping around the pot. They really like that. I think they do so much better when they are in their contained nursery pot. So when you come home with it, leave it in the pot for a while. Your plant also does need a little bit of time to acclimate to the humidity levels in your house, to the temperature changes of your house, light exposure of your house. So leave it for a while. I bought this at a antique store, and I just put my plants or my pothos in it. And voila, it looks so much better than that plastic nursery pot. So just, yeah, get yourself a nice cover pot and put your plant in there. Nobody will ever know. Your plant will be very, very happy that you did that. It won't be happy that you got a pot, like a cover pot, because it doesn't really need a cover pot, but it will be happy that you didn't move it out of the nursery pot. I hope this video helped you guys a little bit with your pothos, whether you have one at home or you're thinking about getting one. I think that they are super, super common because they are super low maintenance, super easy to take care of. They tolerate low light. They're just such an easy plant. If you're new to like plants and you don't have one plant in your house, definitely consider getting a pothos. That's like what I started with 7 years ago, and I absolutely still love them. They're beautiful, they grow so easily, and they are low maintenance. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I love plants, and if I can help you guys out a little bit with your plants, I am so happy to do so. I'm not a plant expert. These are just the things that I do with my plants. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out and give me that thumbs up. It just kind of lets me know that you're enjoying these videos and you find them a little bit helpful. And as always, I will see you guys very soon in another either plant video or reseller video. We shall see which comes first. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.